Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with the man, myth, the legend, and someone who's personally helped me get 30-year money on apartments and offices. I will have to say sub 4 back in the day, which I really, really
I know.
appreciate.
Don't rub it in, Mike. Don't rub it in.
Hey,
You
facts are
know,
facts, baby.
PTSD.
We
Well,
told everybody to raise dry
we
powder.
did.
Yeah.
I was literally screaming it. So, and the ones that heard it,
Yeah.
whew,
It's
shout out
okay.
to Will out of
Yeah.
Florida. Oh
Yeah.
man, that dude came up like 6 of his properties at 399.
Oh,
The
good
guy
for him.
got it. He understood. He was really
Yeah,
sharp about that. Anyway, go ahead.
yeah, well, we are where we are, and again, a lot of people are still trying to raise dry powder because they see a lot of pain in the future. As you know, I didn't really record many videos yesterday because I actually spent the day in Fresno. Two of
Nice.
those meetings I had were with community banks. So a community bank for me in Fresno, they have 3 branches, very
Right.
much Valley money.
Right.
Each of them have at least one of my loans,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to go see him, right? Because again, you have to give your yearly statement. I haven't seen him in a
Sure.
couple years, so I booked back-to-back meetings. So we did our
Right.
thing, and I want to share with you what I heard because I think it's exactly what you and I talked about. But before I do that, you have a marketing thing to get done before I get long-winded.
Yes, again, although I work very happily for Velocity Mortgage Capital, all the ideas and topics discussed on this channel are that of my own. So let's get it going.
Yeah. So one thing that you and I have talked about repeatedly, because you're in the lending business, I've been in the game 20 years, is there's really 2
Right.
markets. There's a housing market, but there's also a lending market.
For sure.
And you and I have said repeatedly, lenders get nervous all the time, right? Go back to February, March, April of 2020. It all shut down for a couple of weeks or months. And I have been through several cycles where banks, it's almost free money. And then, oh, by the way, you can't get a loan with a gun, right? It's like they're
Right.
going to say no for whatever reason. And yes, I
Right.
see the Laker hat. Yeah.
Right. Well, I didn't want to put that on only because the glare from my 9 head was
yeah.
bothering me. So I just wanted to make sure the audience wasn't getting,
Right.
blinded by the reflection. Anyway, go ahead.
I'm sorry. But what I wanted to talk about is it's happening. You and I talked about banks getting nervous,
Mhm.
banks really pulling away from the market. So one of the banks that I talked about after we did our thing and we looked at our PFS, personal financial statement, we talked about the property and upgrades and capital and all that stuff. They pulled off their loan book. If you don't know what a loan book, it's basically these are all the loans we have on our properties. Now, this particular bank representative was just commercials, and for them, it's like 5 to 50 units, right? They don't do the big stuff, and this was all the commercial stuff. So, he pulled out his loan book, and he said, Michael, I watch your channel. I'm like, thank you. And he's like, I just want to show you what you say, what it means to us. He throws his loan book, which were just a bunch of numbers, right? No names or anything.
Right.
But he's like, these are all the loans that reset in the next 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we are only going to renew half of them or less. And I'm like,
yeah, because
what does that mean? So tell everybody what that means.
Basically, credit's tightening. What was a risk that the financial institution could take is not going to take them again. In the oncoming years because they see it. I mean, whatever they're going to be booking, they're going to typically be at a weaker equity position. So certain ones that were just too tight in a certain range, they're just going to not want to renew them, or So yeah, you're going to have a lot of loans maturing that are going to need to refinance or sell or whatever the case is. So that does kind of, in many cases, allow for more motivated sellers.
Yeah. So I poked at it because, as you know, I would, right? I kind of poke at it like, well, why is that, right? And basically, it's a mix of two. It's really a mix of 3 things.
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, the bank's getting more conservative, right? Unquestioned. Just the bank, the bank president, all the way down is like, get conservative, reduce risk. 2023 is going to suck, right? Which I've said many times. Second, they are looking at some undercapitalized investors, right? Okay. People that maybe came to them when they had equity and they had a cash position, but they've deployed it too much, or they've gotten too much riskier. They layered on debt on debt on debt, and they're like, this buyer was okay 5 years ago, but now that it's resetting, it doesn't meet our minimum standard. So gots to go.
Yep.
Right.
And so, yeah. So
yeah. And then
it's going to be interesting. Anyway,
yeah,
go ahead.
and then the third one is the risk profile of the building. Right. Some of these buildings are not performing because, again, if you guys don't know, these commercial banks, and it's what I went down there to do, they want to see a yearly snapshot.
Right.
And this particular bank does 5s and 7s, or at least they did when I was getting the loan. So they get 5-year snapshots. And he's telling me that these buildings are not performing as expected. So they're like, these sellers are going to have one of two, they could do one of two things. I guess three things. One is we're not going to renew the loan. They will need to cash us out. They could refi us. They could sell the building, or of course they could pay off the loan if somebody could stroke a check. But they're not going to take the risk anymore. And if these are really small community banks, we're talking 3 branches, right? Maybe 4.
Right.
But what I was thinking on the way home was like, holy cow. What happens if maybe these guys are extreme and they're not going to renew 50%? What happens what happens if 30% of small commercial properties don't get renewed? And then I go back to you and I'm like, thank God I got 30-year debt. I'm like, thank goodness. So what do you think is going on?
Yeah, I mean, it's a combination of that because with underperforming, commercial properties and typically, getting conventional SBA type loans for commercial properties, they're a short-term fix as well. So, yeah, I mean, there's so many moving parts to what we're kind of seeing or trying to, predict what's going to happen. But, we fall back on your 50-year spreadsheet, and all you can rely back on is the statistics and certain, metrics during those times to kind of say, hey, well, you look back on history so you don't repeat it again, right? And so that's why you try to cite history. So I think that's where, yeah, I mean, it's just credit tightening up all around. And so with that being said, they got to make more, conservative moves at this point just to kind of survive because everybody sees the hardship. But yeah, I mean, the last mortgage convention I went to, there were several lenders that didn't even show up.
Yeah, empty booths.
Empty booths. And so last second, either tightening up on, traveling expenses no more because they just can't afford it or whatever the case is. And I even went to one convention when Sprouts closed down the day before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they had a booth. They were supposed to show up. And it was like, so
yeah,
it was very sudden and shocking to say the least. So, I mean, all you can do is just kind of align yourself with the ones that are going to be probably a stronger, player in the near future.
Yeah. And again, Velocity Mortgage, publicly traded, right?
Yep.
You have quarterly reports people can go look at. It's all awesome. The other thing that we're seeing is, and I highly encourage, I know a lot of one rental at a time folks have brought you multiple deals, as I have personally. Not only thank
you, by the way.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Not only the customer service, speed, easy to doing business, but we just know what we expect, and the team gets faster, right? You can get deals funded in under 21 days.
Oh yeah, well with Chris, I won't give away his last name, but D, let's just say, came to me on a Friday, little panicked because had tried to run a deal through a different lender. They kind of dropped the ball a little bit. It was a purchase. He had, I think, just lost one that fell out because the seller canceled the escrow because it took too long and kept his money. So he's in danger of doing the same thing on the second one. And so he came to me with an appraisal that was already done. We found out it was on our panel. We got the appraisal reassigned to us. And so he called me on that Friday and we got him in the docs that following Wednesday.
Oh.
Not always that kind of speed, but because the circumstances allowed us to, because the report was already done. But in the normal sense of the word, on residential properties, 17, 18 days on average. We can sometimes come in under that, but that's usually the case, unless there's something that's totally out of control. Yeah,
what I would tell folks to do today, right? Again, I'm not saying buy. I'm not saying sell. I'm saying do the work. And let me see. One sec. Hold on. Or wait, no, it's over here. Rule number 3, grow your network. I forget all these. I mean, I know them, but I don't know what order they're in. So again, if you're a real estate investor,
that's like Moses going, "Hey Moses, what was the commandment number 9? Oh man, hold on.
Let me look. I wrote it down somewhere. There's this tablet thing. There's one of these. Yeah.
You should carry those like on the side of like a tablet. Like,
who was the guy back in the day who had the big clock around his neck?
Flavor Flav.
Flavor Flav. Good old Flavor Flav. All right, come on. I'm old, man. I don't remember. Anyways, I digress. Where I was
Yes,
going with
we
this
both.
is
Mhm.
we are entering winter.
Mhm.
There will be amazing deals out there, that I know without question. It's going to take a little bit of work. It's going to take creativity, and it's going to take relationships. If you are out there and you have a relationship with a lender and you have one, you've done deals, that's awesome. I strongly suggest you get a backup. Lots of you that follow my channel, you do not have a non-QM lender on your Rolodex. I strongly suggest you reach out to Stephen Dow to make him at least an option. So whether it's Chris or myself or any of the other people that keep coming back to you, you just have a plan B. So if they want to reach out and see what's what, how do you want them to do that?
Again, just my email, sdao@velocitymortgage.com. The subject line, please put the acronym ORAAT, which stands for one rental at a time. In the body of the email, brief description, maybe what you're looking for. Property address would be great. If not, at least the city and state where you're looking to invest in. Your mid-FICO score, best phone number to reach you at. In 24, 40 hours, I'll typically be in touch. I'm going to be doing a little bit of traveling today. So you might see a gap where I'm not going to be
You're at
available. But
30,000
once I
feet.
land,
You'll be okay.
basically, yeah. So, but as soon as I land, I'll be in touch.
All right, man. Thanks again.
Thank you.